So with that being said, I'm going to break down here right at the beginning. Part one of having a gimmick and building it is name. Having an interesting name or a nickname moniker. So if you come into this business and you're like, okay, I graduated wrestling school, here we go, and my name is Bob Smith, and that's going to be my wrestling name. Okay, that's fine, and great that you've got Bob Smith on your tights. Way to go. However, is a crowd going to chant Bob Smith? Maybe, maybe not. At the end of your match, is someone going to go, God damn, Bob Smith really made me believe tonight? No, they might go, oh yeah, the guy in the first match, he did okay.
Yeah.
It helps to have a name that really can stick with people and immediately can resonate with them. Yeah. Aaron Nova, Dick Danger, even Hunter Law, The Undertaker, Orange Cassidy, these names, Effie, these names are easy to stick in your head. And so even if maybe you didn't get to see the whole match or something like that, you're like, oh, I really got to check into that Effie guy. Because those names are interesting. They catch you off guard and they're like, oh, that really kind of resonates in here and sticks around. Again, you don't want anything too complicated, because if you've got a moniker that's like, you know, a paragraph long, then it's going to be like, hey, no one's going to remember that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of things with names is getting casual audiences to, like, you want them to leave home and remember something of the show.
100%.
They remember this cool spot, like let's say I fall from the ceiling into this backflip into this perfect split, and then it's just like, yeah, well, there was this one guy who did this, and it's just like, yeah, I kind of want to remember it to be. I want credit for that, like, spot. So like, I need you to remember my name. So that's my focus, whether it be starting a chant or something like that. Like, I need them to remember my name so they can go home on that car ride home and it's like, you know, I really like that Aaron Nova guy. I really like that Zac guy. Like, it all starts with the name. And
100%.
100%.
Absolutely correct. And like I said, maybe you don't have the craziest name on the planet Earth, then have a good moniker that's easy to remember. Yeah. Something like that that's going to allow people an easier time to remember you. Because not only that, if you have an interesting name or great nickname or something along those lines, then again, that feeds into merchandising, that feeds into promotion, that feeds into all these other elements that are going to make storytelling a lot more effective. And ultimately, I think that's the goal. At the end of the day, is that you want to be able to tell the clearest story and give people the easiest path in order to make a connection and feel something. The more nuanced and the more complicated you're making things, the more difficult you're making it for yourself, for anybody else that you're working with, and for the audience to connect. So these are all elements that should tie into one another. It shouldn't be just an isolated idea. And none of these elements of a gimmick stand on their own. Meaning, if you've got one of the best names, you know, if you're
Aaron Nova.
If you're Aaron Nova and you have completely phoned in all the rest of these elements, then you might have the world's greatest name, but that doesn't make you memorable. It doesn't mean that the crowd is still going to remember or care or do anything. They just may go like, oh, yeah. That Aaron Nova fought somebody way more interesting and blah, 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 blah.
Can I give an example, if I may?
Of course.
All right. Remember one of the greatest moments in TNA? Like, I would remember this because I'm a wrestling fan, but we got to consider, like, Casual was like my little brother. We brought up this moment in TNA when EX Skipper walked on the side of the cage and did the
Hurricane Rana,
right off the cage. One of the greatest things ever.
Been replayed 10,000 times.
Yes. My little brother, not a wrestling fan, casual viewer, does not remember his name. You know, and it's just like you had this really extreme moment, but it's just like, what do you follow that up with? What else are they buying into? What else are you selling? You know, you had this great moment, and now they can't remember it was you who did it.
Right.
You know?
And I think not to, again, I don't want this to just be this big, like, oh, they used to do it so great in the olden days. But I feel like ECW did a really great job of having interesting character names. Because I, just off the top of my head, it's like Taz, Sabu, RVD, Spike Dudley, Mikey Whipwreck, Tajiri, Super Crazy. These interesting names that stuck in your head.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, these guys are absolutely pushing the limits of blah, blah,
and
blah,
they were
blah.
all different from one another.
Right. All vastly different, but all had catchy names that you could be like, oh, I'd put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, it starts with the name. So
exactly.
I respect that.
That's your first, the first impression that you're making, promotion, fan, other wrestler, is that name. So if you've already gotten started and your name sucks, change it now. We're coming out of a pandemic. Now's the perfect time to recreate yourself.
Or not like so quick to just like change the name, make it mean something.
Right.
You know,
we're going to get more into timing and when to make changes and when not to make changes.
Yes.
But my point is, if you came into this and I just accidentally called you out by calling you Bob Smith, and that's you, come up with something new. Come up with a nickname, something that can help you stand out a little bit.